All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London's Blue Podcast, hopefully favorite Chelsea podcast out there, and a part of the Men in Blazers Media Network. Dan, alongside Nick, is another one of our laptop series of the podcast. That's right, we are in London right now for a part of our wonderful journey overseas to enjoy both the Chelsea men and Chelsea women's team playing at the moment. But we have to get a conversation going about just how damn good this Chelsea women's team is, winning 3-2 on aggregate versus Manchester City to advance in the Women's Champions League to the next round against Barcelona. You're up next. We're coming for you. That's what's happening, Nick.
Unbelievable performance. Sorry that this is like a day late. We were traveling to London the day that this happened. I was in the airport watching frantically on my phone as Chelsea completed something that has only happened two other times in Women's Champions League history, and that's overturn a 2-goal deficit to advance to the next stage of the competition. Arsenal obviously did it on Wednesday. We did it on Thursday, and the last time it happened was 2007. So clearly this is not something that happens a whole lot. So it is definitely worth diving deep on, and just send a huge congratulations to this team for putting together second half against City in the league and this 90 plus minutes, a phenomenal game and a half. So yeah, really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Why not us energy right now with the Chelsea women's team is absolutely off the charts. So in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about what ended up happening in this 90 minutes that completely flipped the script for Chelsea.
Really, like 45 minutes. It was insane.
To be fair. We'll also talk about the individual contributors that made it happen on the day. A lot of recognition for individual performances that really are going to stand the test of time. And then also take a look ahead to Chelsea's next individual team that they're going to absolutely demolish.
We'll be there
next round
in person.
And then we'll get involved in a bunch of things. But look, we always like to start off with a 3-word match review to set the stage for this one. Nick, I went with Sonia cancel City.
They're just done now? There's nothing else?
Look, you knock them out of a League Cup. You knock them out of a title within the league. And now they're out of the Women's Champions League. Sonia Pastore, do you have a bone to pick? Which with Man City, I mean, it feels like you do. This feels personal at this point.
Yeah, they even did the new manager bounce to try and stop it from happening. And look, that's a tactic that Chelsea have used on the men's side plenty in the past to great success. Did not work. Did not work at all. Look, I went with, if you are a fan of the 90s movie Space Jam, I went with Mike's Secret Stuff, because it turns out Mike's secret stuff was inside of us all along. And that's what this Chelsea team exhibited. The second half in the league against City and this 90 minutes was just a showcase on all of the immense talent that this team has and what they're capable of doing. And while they hadn't shown it for a while in the spring, it is a clear marker now that we're here, we're serious. We're here to try and compete for this damn Champions League once and for all. And they really put in a performance that would make anyone question whether, they have the right stuff to beat us.
Well, they definitely have proven the credentials at this point. So let's just, again, to set the stage, this was a match this past Thursday. It was March the 27th in the Women's Champions League. Chelsea 3-0 on the day, winning 3-2 on aggregate. Again, goals coming in the 14th minute with Sandy Baltimore. You had Natalie Bjorn in the 36th minute, and then you had Maya Ramirez in the 43rd minute. And that was it. It was done. It was game over by the time the halftime whistle blew. You didn't even need to go any further. Nick, run us through the lineup. Remind people of who was playing, because there were key differences, particularly on the City side, that I think had a major impact. But we thankfully had a chance to field what many would argue is a lot of our strongest 11 when it comes to the women's side.
Yeah, again, reminder, this is the fourth game in 13 days against this opponent.
Against Man City?
Yeah. It's absurd. Okay. It's never happened before like this. So an incredible achievement from the likes of Lucy Bronze, who played all 4 games, the likes of Millie Bright, who played all 4 games, Hannah Hampton played all 4 games, Erin Cuthbert played in all 4 games. Like, these are incredible talents. Natalie Bjorn and Sandy Baltimore slot in from the weekend. Kira Walsh comes back in to the midfield. You thought that was going to happen. She's an outstanding passer, and so that was part of the offensive game plan to get some goals here that we desperately needed. Aaron Cuthbert partnered her. Lauren James on the left. We're going to have a whole segment on Lauren James. Vika Kaptein getting a huge boost of confidence in this one to start this critical Champions League game at 19 years old. Incredible performance from her. Johanna Rinkanerud, incredible on the right, and then Myra Ramirez through the center. Only 2 subs in this game. Kind of remarkable when you think about how clear Chelsea were of City for the entire game. Aggie comes in for Myra in the 72nd minute, where Jean-Francois comes in for Kira Walsh in the 90th minute. There was kind of a playful, is she coming in for Vika? Is she coming in for Kira? That ended up being for Kira Walsh. And Dan, the stats, again, you think about the second half at the weekend in the league, and you think about this game, Chelsea far clear of City.
Yeah, Chelsea with 22 shots, which is double the total amount of shots that Man City had at 11. We had 11 shots on target to their 5. We had 51% in possession to their 49%. Pass accuracy 77 to 74 for us. They had 8 fouls to our 8, so equal apiece. They had 1 yellow card to our 2. I mean, in general, though, it feels as if this was a game that was just so in control. This Chelsea team had. Like, they came out with a desire and a willingness and expectation that they were going to walk away with a result. And 2-0 down, as Nick mentioned earlier, is not something in the Women's Champions League where a lot of fortunes have been turned in the second leg. And Chelsea said to fate, to destiny, to every outside force, fuck you, it's not happening. We are rewriting destiny in this exact moment.
Danger. That's what they said.
Absolutely tearing up the script and rewriting it live to make it happen in the way that they wanted to. I love the way that Sonia Bonpastor walked down the tunnel at halftime, where you couldn't see any excitement that we were up 3-2. It was like, you know what? There's still work to do. I need to get into the locker room to go get ready for a next 45 minutes to ensure that we bypass this team and that we are on to Barcelona.
She's so casually French, like, and I mean that in the best possible way. Like, didn't celebrate the goals, was nonplussed heading into the locker room.
To be fair, though, the first and second goal you probably don't celebrate because it's like you're getting back into it. The third goal is I would expect some reaction. We didn't get a whole lot.
Every manager has their different things. Emma Hayes would have been at midfield celebrating each one of those goals.
Knee slide herself is what she'd be doing.
But, it's just so casually, just like, nah, not really anything to talk about until we actually do it. Look, Sonia has her own style. She seems to be much more of a nurture over nature type. I think that, for a long stretch of the season, it was unclear if that was going to pay off in the big moment. And it clearly did. We'll talk a little bit about her and her quotes after this one and her mentality heading into this. But yeah, it's a remarkable, I think, just like flat out, it's a remarkable achievement. This Man City team is really injured and they're not at full strength. And I think that we have to take that into account as we think about the context of this game. They're a very good team. They play a very conclusive style. They have given us absolute hell over the last 3 or 4 years. It's been very difficult to play against them. They're missing Lauren Hemp. They're missing Bunny Shaw. They're missing Fagino. They're missing, a starting goalkeeper. They're missing a ton of defenders. This is not, Alex Greenwood and the like. This is not a full strength team. They played us really, really tough for like 2.5 games. And I think overall, Chelsea just had more quality. And that quality did shine through. And it shined through through our boy Harry Edwards talking about the Chelsea women's players with at least 200 minutes in what he's calling the Man City quadrilogy. That's so good. Hannah Hampton, 360.
It's funny because it's on the back of Avengers Doomsday announcements, and it's like you can imagine the promo for this type of like match, and like players involved with the same like chairs.
We need the chairs.
Yeah.
We need the chairs for
Hannah Hampton, Millie Bright, Lucy Bronze, Lauren James, Aaron Cuthbert.
At the end, it's just Robert Downey Jr. pointing to all of them. You're just like, oh, okay, there he is. But yeah, look, Hannah Hampton, 360 minutes, played all of it. Millie Bright, 360 minutes, played all of it. Lucy Bronze, same. Lauren James just got a tiny bit of a break at 329 minutes.
Rough.
Aaron Cuthbert, 305 minutes. JRK at 282. Natalie Bjorn at 270. Myra at 249. Vika Kaptein, 19 years old, remind you, at 233. It's an insane achievement. And then you think about what this means in the grander context for Chelsea women, too. This is the first Champions League knockout home win since the 4-1 victory over Bayern Munich in the 2020-2021 semifinal second leg. That one sent us to the Champions League final, where we eventually lost to Barcelona. Barcelona will be a repeating theme in this match review as we have to face those bastards again. But it is a really, really, really important victory. One, because it felt like, it felt for a while the league was done. Like we were going to win the league. You already have the League Cup in hand. The FA Cup is a crapshoot, but you feel pretty good about where you are in respect to the entire scenario. This is the one where there is a huge step up in quality, right?
Yeah.
Where your Man Cities, even as depleted as they were, could give you a real run, and they did. Barcelona, Lyon, Arsenal are the teams left. Can Chelsea take that next step in progression? And it feels like, instead of what I was fearing, that they were maybe fading at the wrong time, that they might have just picked back up at the right time.
It's the roller coaster moment where you're like, oh, I went down and we're done. And you think that there's no more ups. And I think we're getting treated to an up right now that might be extremely special, really, really special on the ride that we're on with Sonia and with this team, because ultimately we've seen this team win the league before. We've seen this team win the League Cup, not as frequently, but has returned to winning form there. We've seen them win the FA Cup in quite regularity. The Champions League has been the elusive item for them. It has been the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant. If we're thinking about Sonia Pastor as Indiana Jones in this moment, like we're so close to touching greatness with this team, to doing something that is defining for the team, for the organization, for the players, that hasn't been done for this side. And she knows it. Like, she is the individual of this grouping that understands what it means to do this. And so if anyone can help will this team across the line to set the foundation, set the expectation, to help continue to will them forward, she is the best equipped individual maybe in all of women's football to drive this team across the line. And nothing against Emma Hayes, but like this team is really something special at the moment. And like a lot of that's the foundation that Emma left, and Sonia has just slotted in so well to kind of kick up to just one extra level higher, the 10 to 11, the spinal tap, flip it up just one more to get a little bit more out of it. And can you do that now over 180 minutes against Barcelona, one of the best teams in all of women's football? And they look like they can be got, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I do just want to say before we take a quick ad break and go into the insights portion of this match review, the home crowd at Stamford Bridge yesterday, Thursday now, that I should say, was incredible. New supporters group Blue 92 doing a great job. The lack of, I think our friend journalism RP Rob put it well, that you don't need a bunch of flags and accoutrement to have a great atmosphere. What you need is people just singing their guts out and supporting the team. And from 20 minutes before the game starting all the way through the final whistle, when One Step Beyond played, this was that sort of atmosphere. It was that special. It was that it felt right. And I really am appreciative of that, because, Chelsea has had, they've received some shit for not selling out Stamford Bridge in the past and maybe not having the best atmosphere at those games. And other teams are doing this, that, and the other thing. This was a proper atmosphere. It was a real, real good atmosphere. And I would be hard pressed to think that it didn't help the team get the elusive third goal.
Well, and we would be remiss before going to that break in, as you mentioned, that if you are thinking about it and have thought about potentially going to see the women's team play, the second leg at home Stamford Bridge, decisive moment in this tie, there will be tickets available. Like, it is not like a men's team match where the tickets are very hard to get. Like, the tickets will be hard to get for this match. Like, they and as close as we can get this to a sellout. If you are in London, or if you're nearby, like, this would absolutely be the moment to show up in support of what could be a historic run for this Chelsea women's team. And we would encourage you and recommend it highly that if you've any interest in watching the best team of Chelsea play, this would be the time to go do it.
I want 2012 Napoli noises in there for this game. I want us to absolutely swallow them up and spit them out because the atmosphere is that good. So, yeah, just Barcelona's coming up. We'll talk about them at the end. That's a whole other thing. But this is a real contender now, and Chelsea have proved it. And we'll talk about why here in a second. Thanks to the sponsors, and we'll be right back.
All right, look. So, Nick, I want to get into this idea of the winner's mentality that this team has. You get kind of going to insights, and I think we kind of break it up into a couple things. But the do or die, the never say never type of mentality, particularly across that first 45 minutes, was definitely a step up. And I think we saw maybe there was the concern around the first performance. We looked a little leggy. There was the rotation. We didn't necessarily feel as if like we were getting the best performance out of the Chelsea side. And, you kind of put it out there on Twitter or X afterwards that like we saw some really special performances. We saw some exceptional leadership. We saw, and you go back and watch it. We did this series on Chelsea DNA, what it means to be Chelsea. And like every player we've talked to ever who's been a part of a winning team at Chelsea, that is the definition for Chelsea DNA. And it's not about anything else other than winning trophies. It's not about a massive paycheck. It's not about the people you play with. It's about that you won something during your career at Chelsea, and hopefully you won multiple things. And we have that type of mentality on this women's team.
It starts and is personified by Millie Bright. Millie Bright, who's been at the club forever, who has 14 trophies to her name already,
and counting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a much higher number at the end of the season.
And counting. She put out this bulletin. The social accounts kind of took this and ran with it, right? They were doing all the Believe stuff. They were doing all the memes. It was pissing Arsenal fans off to no end, which brought me great joy.
They get triggered easily?
Yeah, they sure do. And she said this, she had this line, and I want to talk about the importance of it because boy, could our men's team learn from this. We know what's expected of us. We know what we need to do to progress, and we believe we can do it. And I put out a tweet talking about the impact of leadership and accountability, right? I've been a Chelsea fan for a long time. We have done 1,500 podcasts about the club. I can forgive bad performances. People are people. People make mistakes. They, don't always perform at their maximum level. Some achieve more than they ever thought possible, right? There's a sliding scale. What I think Chelsea fans expect from our teams is maximum commitment, right? Yeah. Even if it doesn't turn out, if you can see the effort, that's what we expect. And I have never once doubted that Millie Bright was putting in maximum effort. She is up for player of the season in the league this year. Could be up for player of the season in the Champions League. That's how fucking good she's been. Unmovable, right? She is a special person. She's a special talent. She's been a brick wall. But more than anything, you think about the transition between Emma and Sonia. The constant is Millie Bright. She's a really, really special player.
Not the only one, but I would say that effort is the expectation when it comes to Chelsea Football Club. Mm-hmm. And this team personifies the concept around a maximum level of commitment is required to deliver consistent results, that you have to show up game in, game out, that you can't take a game off. And really, like we're seeing the dividends of a great, like, and maybe this is like this the people who want to see the men's team do well. You're seeing great recruitment, great coaching and management, great player acquisition and player development has all come to fruition to build this team that can be competitive across every domestic competition and every international competition that they feature in. And it's really, really exciting to see. I know there's some quotes that you want to go into that we have as well, but like it's just it's so special at the moment. And I think if you didn't watch the match, go back and watch it. Obviously, we're talking about it right now, so surprise, Chelsea won. But you should definitely go back and watch at least the highlight reel, because the first 5 minutes of the 10-minute highlight reel are like the first 45 minutes of this match, and the amount of chances that the team creates. Whether it was Natalie Bjorn, whether it was the way that Lauren James was kind of like driving into the box, like this team was committed from the moment the whistle blew to the end of the game. They were trying to get every single goal. The way that Sandy grabbed the ball for the goal and ran it back with the, hey, I'm not celebrating this shit right now. Like, I am going to take this back because we need to get going. We cannot waste 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes to celebrate because the job isn't done. That type of mentality comes like top down from Sonia and from others to go drive the expectation.
Yeah, Sonia said, I'm allowing myself to enjoy. Very casual. You work really hard in football. Sometimes you get results, sometimes you don't. I think tonight was the perfect night for us playing at Stamford Bridge with our fans being able to turn things around. I'm really proud of my players. It was a difficult challenge, but we believed it was possible, and I think this belief was strong in our side and made the difference. The mental aspect of a performance is really important. Sometimes it could be more than 70 or 80% of the performance and the result, which is a fascinating quote. So I think tonight it was part of the game to have this belief, mental strength, to think it was possible to achieve. I said after the first leg we were alive, and I knew it was possible, even though I knew the challenge would be tough. It was important for us to be able to bounce back and see how we would react as a team. And this is, I think, a genuine part of the winner's mentality. Having a winner's mentality doesn't mean that you win every game. Be very clear about that. There are plenty of winners. Pep Guardiola is an amazing winner, right? He doesn't win every game. But the mentality to bounce back against adversity, to understand how you're feeling in moments, to be able to react accordingly, is what separates the winners from the losers. I mean, there could be no doubt about that. And Chelsea just have this never say die, really important attitude around winning, that when it gets to a point of do or die, that at the very least, we're going to throw everything we got at it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But at the very least, we're going to throw what we got at it. And they certainly did that. And I think everyone is right to be proud over this performance.
So let's maybe walk through a couple of the specific performances. I think that, you want to talk about Captain. I know you're super excited with, someone who's under 20 years of age playing in a women's Champions League run here and just having an exceptional night. We know that we want to also talk about like Sandy and what she had in this game. There's so to come back from 2-0 down to win 3-2. You could almost argue that everybody's an unsung hero, but I know there's a couple that you circled that you're definitely super excited to talk about because of, there are other players that we've lauded praise on for years. We've talked about Aaron Cuthbert for years. We talked about Melly Bright for years, and so I think you want to share some flowers with a couple other players that we don't often talk about in the same level of reverence, just because of where they're at within their career, their Chelsea journey. And so I'll cede the floor to you because I know there's a couple that you're really excited to mention.
Vika Kaptein at 19 years old was trusted in the second leg of a critical Champions League tie. This was our season on the line. And instead of Kat Macario, instead of Micah Hamano, instead of Shuka Nuskin, Vika Kaptein, 19 years old, trusted. And what did she do? Well, it turns out a little bit of everything, right? Accurate passes, 89%. Dribble attempts, 1 of 2. 7 of 15 ground duels won. She's not really a defensive midfielder. Won her aerial duels. Lost some possession, was okay. Was fouled a couple of times. But her heat map was everywhere. Chasing, playing second striker, pressing up high, trying to win the ball back. Some of the stuff that, I think we laud, different players on the men's team for doing. It was a very, very difficult task. and it required an insane amount of focus. And I know for goddamn sure at 19 years old that I wouldn't have been able to do that. Not only the physical part, the mental part. I think having to stay switched on like that is a really difficult task for a 19-year-old. And she did it with great aplomb. And I'm really, really intrigued to see what she eventually becomes as a player. Because I think she has so many unique talents that it could, she could very well end up being a second striker. She could very well end up being a 10. She could very well end up being a 6. It's uncertain right now, but what I know she is a player that shows up in big moments now and allows for other players to facilitate. And it was a huge, huge performance because without that level of press, City can pick you apart and do a lot of damage. And frankly, that was not an option when you're down 2-0.
Yeah, I know Sandy Baltimore is another one we want to talk about. Could have had 2 goals.
Should have
had 2 goals. Could have had multiple assists as well. Like Keating, to be fair, if you're giving up 3 goals, it is really hard to praise a lot of the opposition team. Keating kept this game from being ugly for Man City. Like
could have easily been 6 or 7.
Yeah, like she did a great job with the opportunity she did have to close it, and there was just some really exceptional performances on the day from the Chelsea team that kind of set the distance, set the expectation. Like the initial delivery on that cross to Natalie Bjorn that could have been a headed goal. The fact that Sandy was aware and ready off of the bronze deflection that came back to her for the goal, like just heads up awareness and with a absolutely phenomenal hit on that ball, just across the board. Really, really exceptional performances. Multiple clearances as well. Definitely put herself in a position to be involved in the game kind of fully, and maybe a different level of performance we've seen from her before. Like this felt like I don't know, maybe if you agree or disagree, kind of felt like hey, welcome to Chelsea Football Club type of performance from Sandy Baltimore. Take a bow, like you're Chelsea now.
She's not really a left back, so I'll just start with that.
It's a good point to make. Yeah, we're playing a little out of position here.
So that's a pretty important thing. I mean, to not have Niamh Charles start this game is a pretty big vote of confidence in Sandy Baltimore at left back. Obviously plays a little bit more as a left wing back sort of vibe, but it's an important role. And not only was she, 1 goal, 1 assist, her left foot is good luck with that. I mean, that she hit that pure. That goal is a wonderful, wonderful goal. And look, we were there in preseason when they played Gotham, and she came out wearing these bright orange and blue Predators. And if you don't know the Adidas Predator, it's one of the more famous football boots ever. And I've reserved in my head since I was a young kid that like you have to be elite to wear the Predator. You have to have a certain swag about you.
Yeah, the swag index has to be high.
And she came out in these bright orange and blue Predators, and I was like, okay, all right, interesting. And it's worked out quite well. I mean, she has been a key contributor to this overall setup, the way that we're playing the season, and is very similar in my mind to what Aggie has done, where I don't know if we expected her to start all these games or contribute as much as she has. I think we were maybe a little bit more confident in Aggie doing that. But both of them have come out of, not out of nowhere, but achieved a lot over the established players that are in front of them. Like Niamh Charles is an incredible player, right? The fact that Aggie Beaver-Jones has started so much at striker over Myra Ramirez this year is no small achievement. Like these are really, really, really good players. And Sandy Baltimore picked a wonderful occasion to have her best game in a Chelsea shirt, and very, very pleased to see how she develops in the system moving forward.
Can we also talk about Natalie Bjorn?
Would love to.
Player of the match?
No.
Ooh.
Lauren James.
Okay. Natalie Bjorn was all over the place, though.
She was excellent.
The way, how many attempts she was able to, like, I don't know what you need to do or see from, like, if you're the set piece coach for the Man City women's team and you see the way that she's getting space, getting on the ball, absolutely like bodying defenders, someone should be like, hey, we need to stop that from happening. And nobody was like, oh, man, we should really, really prevent Natalie Bjorn from getting on the end of this ball. Like, nobody came wise to it.
Notably, not a huge goal threat.
To be fair, but the thing was, I don't care if she's not a goal threat. The movement,
no, just in general,
yeah.
She's not.
The movement she had though in this game to like get involved in the scoring positions on set piece delivery, to put herself in a position to be a threat, whether like she was a direct threat or an indirect threat. Like she had like a desire this game that was like next level in what she was like looking to get out of this. I don't know. She was my player of the match. I thought she had a phenomenal performance. I think her, like, this was a crime scene. Her fingerprints are all over the scene. Like, they're everywhere. Like, guilty, guilty, guilty. She's the reason Man City is dead out of this competition.
Yeah, she's really, really stepped up. I think you could have forgiven all of us for thinking that Naomi Girma was going to easily surpass her in the pecking order. Huge fee, largest fee ever paid for a player in women's football. And Natalie Bjorn, since that point, since that transfer was made, has come out and played incredibly, incredibly well.
The hold up. Wait a minute. Let me tell you something.
She could have had a hat trick of headers in this game, like very easily. The finish that she did get was an extraordinary finish with a header. That she had to put that over Miedema, who is a tall player. It's not an easy thing to do. I think Miedema is like 4 or 5 inches taller than Keating is. Like, so they kind of have like almost like two auxiliary goalkeepers back there, right? But defensively, man, I just 3 out of 4 ground duels won, 4 out of 4 aerial duels won, 3 tackles, 1 interception, 1 block shot, 6 clearances. We played this game in City's half for a lot of it, but she's rock solid right now, and she's going to need to be if Chelsea have a real good chance to take on the beast that we know is Barcelona.
All right. You mentioned it already. Lauren James, you want to talk about her. Here's the opportunity. So your player of the match.
My player of the match.
Which I also think phenomenal shout. I mean, the way that she was driving the box, some of the balls she delivered across, like she also could have had multiple assists in this game. Like the way that she's driving in, the way that she's being a threat, that she's pulling people out of position to create opportunities for other is just so dangerous. And then the way she's also getting back too from a defensive standpoint, like we love on this podcast, and
historically,
and I think it's Chelsea supporters, like in general, when we have an attacking player that commits the way that she did in this match from a defensive level, that is like a sonnet. Like you are writing like a love song directly to our hearts as supporters because we love that type of commitment.
I have seen an incredible change in her since the start of the second half of the season. She's playing incredibly well offensively. She's doing all the Lauren James things that we know Lauren James can do. Incredibly talented footballer, incredibly skillful, nonchalant attitude towards burying whichever opponent is in her way. And then the thing that we haven't seen, the effort off the ball. Totally there. Jesse Parker Humphreys and I were joking. I don't know if she had to be an emergency goalkeeper, she'd probably be good at that too. Which is the highest compliment that you could really pay to a player like this, which is we know you're elite. We know that you're two-footed virtuoso, that everything that you want is in your bag. And you have the effort now to pay it off defensively, to win balls back, to chase down Carolyn multiple times, to one-on-one defend against Carolyn, a tricky, very, very quick player. I think she's putting herself in consideration for a Ballon d'Or. I think she's putting herself in position to be called the best player in the world. I don't, it's
clip it, Sam. Clip it. Turn the TikTok camera on, as they would say on the Bill Simmons podcast.
It's an extraordinary thing. I don't say that lightly because I think there have been moments in her career where we've seen, wow, this is some player. And then there have been cool periods. And it's all fair, right? But for me, if she is able to repeat this performance the rest of the season, and Chelsea are able to win things because she is completing this type of performance the rest of the season, that's a Ballon d'Or for me.
All right, we'll take our last ad break when we get back. It's all about what's coming next because Chelsea have to take on Barcelona in the next round. And look, there's also a West Ham match in the league coming up this weekend that we will be at, which we're very excited for because the magic number is continuing to dwindle for this Chelsea team to secure a league title under Sonia Bonpastor. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, Nick, you love a meme, and I know you're excited after any type of game where we can, whether it's the pocket meme where it's like, hey, so-and-so had to clear out their pockets, and like it's an image of keys and a wallet and a Manchester City player in this scenario.
Natalie Bjorn actually unloaded the entire city of Manchester from her pocket.
I'm pretty impressive. That's a pretty big pocket. Yeah. It's like a TARDIS style pocket depth there. You had another meme though from Harry Edwards, who mentioned before, good friend of the podcast and doing great work covering the women's team, women's football in general. Walk the listener through what the meme is, which is like the least exciting version of content we can put together on an audio and video podcast.
Let's do a talking picture here,
Oh, anyway, we have a wonderful meme to talk to you about today.
Back here stateside. Go follow Harry Edwards, first of all. If you don't follow Harry Edwards already, he's well worth your follow. There is a know the work rules meme where City kind of is as the like character come out and say, hey, and Chelsea are like, oh my God, you're so sweet. Unbelievable. And then they have like a big scarier version, which is Barcelona that says, hey, and Chelsea go, hello, human resources. This is the battle for our souls, Dan. Chelsea and Barcelona have been on a collision course for a number of years now. Ever since we lost the Champions League final to them, we have now played them in this will be a third successive Champions League semifinal. We have lost the previous two, despite throwing in heroic efforts. Last year's felt like it was stolen from us by a faulty red card.
Some officiating challenges.
Oh my God, I'm still mad about that. We played well enough to beat them over two legs last year for sure. This is a battle now. This is going to be a real battle. This is not a Barcelona team with Heraldez, their former manager. This is a Barcelona team who is healthy, playing well. They advanced very easily out of their quarterfinal against Wolfsburg. They are an incredibly deep and talented team. We know exactly what they do, and they know exactly what we do because we've played them very frequently. We do have one of their players on our team, Kira Walsh, right now, which is a helpful twist to the plot and the narrative that maybe we didn't have previously. But this is going to be, if you thought that 4 games in a row against City was chess and trying to strategize, game plan, not show everything you got, this is going to be that over two legs. Are Chelsea able to get a result away? Even a draw would be fine. And then are you able to put in that kind of performance at home? Close this thing out in grand fashion. Because if you beat Barcelona, man, I have great respect for Lyon. I have not that much respect for Arsenal. And you can clip that too, Sam. But I really, really believe that they are the final boss in our Champions League journey.
I was going to say we went from evolving from chess to risk. Because there's an element of chance that is required.
Both teams are in danger.
Yeah, I'm in danger. Type of moment for this Chelsea team. I do agree with you that I think that if this Chelsea team can get over the hurdle, I'm not afraid of whoever we play in the next round. I think this is absolutely, if you vanquish the foe in front of you,
especially over two legs,
it is about excising the demons. It's about building out a new history for this team, a new identity. What better opportunity, what time to do this with Sonia Bonpastor, with a deluge of new players who don't have some of the historic baggage, and also a couple players who really have a bone to pick with this Barcelona team. I think you have the right confluence of everything you need to mix in here for a team that is going to have the desire and the identity to really stick it to this Barcelona side. And again, that is not saying it is going to be an easy task. This is going to be a difficult 180 minutes of football across 2 legs.
Probably more.
Yeah, but probably more. The benefit being, though, is we do end it at Stamford Bridge, which is the nice element here. I would always, in the way that the 2-leg tie works, much rather have the second leg be at home for us, particularly knowing the way that this Chelsea women team have played at Stamford Bridge in the Champions League. I'm very excited for it. I think it is an absolute opportunity to be box office level type of football.
Some considerations. One, Millie Bright will want this bad.
How bad?
Very bad. Aaron Cuthbert will want this very bad.
How bad?
Very, very bad. You also have this, I don't know if you've ever heard of her, this character called Sam Kerr.
Ooh, you talking about the return of Sam Kerr to do the dagger?
It sure feels like it.
Are you thinking about the let him know it was me type of Game of Thrones scenario?
I want you to let him know it was me. There would be the memes that would come out of a Sam Kerr cameo winner would just be.
What about Sam Kerr? Doesn't play in the first, but plays
this is what I'm saying.
In the second?
This is what I'm saying. It's what I'm saying. I
Give me the narrative.
I believe a month from now, the second leg of this tie is going to happen. And Sonia's been very clear that they're not risking her in her journey back from injury, which 100% is smart.
Makes sense.
You know, look, she's a player not only for now, but for the future as well. But man, oh man, a month from now, girl writing too.
The girl gang stepping up.
If you need a penalty, who else would you want, really? I mean, this is it's very interesting. This is chess, not checkers. This is don't show your entire hand in one place. And I think Sonia has shown the capacity to game plan that way, especially in this remarkable quadrilogy, as our friend Harry Edwards said. It's going to be fucking phenomenal to see. And frankly, Dan, that's not the entire story because we're here. We're in London recording this from my rather
spacious hotel room.
You can reach back and touch the wall right there. We're going on Sunday to Kings Meadow, and I expect.
I believe we call it Queens Meadow. To
yes,
be fair,
we made shirts that say Queens Meadow.
Yeah, we know the right name.
We expect an absolute hero's welcome home to the actual home field that we have. We haven't played there for a while. It's been a minute. I expect the Kings Meadow crowd on Sunday, despite it being Mother's Day in the UK, to be absolutely phenomenal, and we are very excited to partake in the applauding of the heroes that just did what they did.
Yeah, and a shout out to mothers and all those playing a role as a mother figure within people's lives and celebrating that day, and the mothers that will be playing on the pitch in that day as well to
Baby Z
to get a result in this match, because it's also the late match on the day, and so like you might have gotten very good news earlier in the day that your number has continued to dwindle for this team. We're talking single digits in terms of points required for this Chelsea team to finalize their league title. I think we're doing the math on it, and like the best outcome was that they end the day 1 point away from being ready for the title. It looks like it's not going to happen, but it will be very close. And I think that the thing to keep in mind is that also offers you an insane advantage in this Champions League run too, because you're so confident that like where you're heading with the team in the league to secure this, that you've done the work in advance. Mm-hmm. It's the opposite of the men's team. You did the work early enough where you now are heading in the end of the season, and you could theoretically like draw or lose a game in the league if you had to prioritize the Champions League and get through the next round. Very advantageous position for Sonia, for the team, for the players, because they've done the work all season and they're reaping the rewards of that.
Yeah, I mean, they're 8 points up right now on the table, 15 to play. So start doing the math. And there's only so many ways out of this that don't end in a Chelsea league triumph for the 6th straight season.
SIX?
And that would be number 6.
Oh. Is that historic by any capacity? In the
It's remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable. And look, Chelsea won it on the last day. In a lot of those seasons, this would be a just wire to wire shellacking.
Do you remember the people like when Emma announced that she was leaving, who were celebrating the fact that like the Chelsea women's team demise was coming?
It might have been reported a smidge too early there, Dan.
The paper might have been printed a little too early that this team was done, and the ride this season. Again, if you're picking this up just now, get in for the last couple matches here
For the love
because
of God.
the ride has been incredible so far, and the journey is about to be complete. And you don't want to be popping on to the end of the Frodo experience, getting rid of the ring.
Mhm.
You want the ring. You don't want to be there when the ring is gone. You want to be there now before it's thrown in to Mount Doom. You want to get involved at this point.
Something about Samwise Gamgee in there. But yeah, look, I believe in this team. They made me believe over these, the last game and a half that they were capable of great, great things, not just good things, great things. They have a huge amount of work to do to get past Barcelona, to get past what I believe will be Lyon in the final.
Man, Sonia versus Leon in the final, old team versus new team. The expected narrative for Chelsea Football Club this season with the City quadrilogy, with the Sonia potentially versus Leon, with the players who came in. Like there is so much. Even if you don't like women's sport in general. Again, like we know people, hopefully, if they're listening to this far, you've come to like women's sport. The narrative structure and the story behind it is so good this season. You got to get involved.
Yeah, it is box office shit. I mean, it really, really is. And, I look at this now and go, just everyone focus. My favorite part of the first goal, or actually the second goal, we're level against City. Score the second goal. Natalie Bjorn does a great job, right? Millie Bright got everyone together, not celebrating, said, keep your heads, calm down. Keep your heads, calm down. And I think that's a great message to exit this one on because there's a lot to play for. You can't have silly mistakes that get you into a spot where you have to claw something back or exert extra effort. Keep your heads, calm down. We're good enough to win the league, clearly. We're good enough to win the FA Cup, clearly. We have to show a huge amount of improvement to beat Barcelona, to potentially win a final. And that's what they should be focused on. So I'm excited for them. They deserve all the credit in the world. And God, I'm excited to see them Sunday.
Well, that's going to do it for this one. Again, our Laptop in London series that we're doing here. You're going to see a couple of these wonderful laptop type of experiences, maybe from Nick's hotel room, maybe from other places during the trip here. But that's going to do it for this one. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.